My second presentation is under the title of New Woman related to the subject of 303 terms and concept. The objectives of this project is to describe the social, economic, political, intellectual or cultural contributions to one or more women. Number two, to analyze scholarship, literature, art, music, dance, theater or film created by or performed by one or more women. Number three, to develop an understanding of how language combines with nationality, race and ethnicity, religion, social class, sexual orientation, and physical abilities to shape the experience of men and women, including themselves. Number four, to read and respond to feminist scholarship. And number five, to examine the similarities and differences among women within and across cultures and at different historical moments. New women. Merriam-Webster dictionary defines the term of new woman. A woman, especially of the late 19th century, actively resisting traditional controls and seeking to fill a complete role in the world. The new woman was a term used at the end of the 19th century to describe women who were pushing against the limits which society imposed on women. Today, she might be called a liberated woman or feminist. Gail Finney gives a concise description of her. The new woman typically values self-fulfillment and independence rather than the stereotypically feminine ideal of self-sacrifice. Believes in legal and sexual equality. Of remains single because of the difficulty of combining such equality with marriage, is more open about her sexuality than old woman, as is well educated and reads a great deal, has a job as athletic or otherwise physically vigorous, and accordingly prefers comfortable clothes, sometimes a male attire or traditional female garb. Ibsen supported greater freedom for women and expressed his beliefs in his play in his note for a dollhouse. He asserted a woman cannot be herself in contemporary society. It is an exclusively male society with laws drafted by men and with counsel and judges who judge feminine conduct from the male point of view. As even contemporaries associated with the new women and women's rights in 1898, the Norwegian Women's Rights League gave a banquet to honor him for his support of women's rights. He identified he was with this issue is suggested by Max Beerbohm's exaggerated if witty statement, the new woman sprung fully armed from Isabin brain. Plattforms of the 1920s were young women known for their energetic freedom, embracing a lifestyle viewed by many at the time as outrageous, immoral, or downright dangerous. Now considered the first generation of independent American women, Flapper pushed barriers in economic, political, and sexual freedom for women. Origin of the phrase "new woman" from Victorian period towards the end of 19th century. Feminism turned out to be a free-ranging revolution in American culture and cut off the women's movement from Christianity and conservative propriety and became the part of border revolt against formalism. These new feminists were determined to realize personality, to achieve self-determination through life growth and experience, thereby giving birth to new women. The origin of the term new woman are disputed, but it appears to have entered the language in 1894 when it was used in a pair of articles written by the novelist Sarah Grant, Baron, Francis, Elizabeth, Blendon, Clark, and Odia, the pseudonym of Marius Remy. In the North American Reviews, Grant published an article titled The New Aspect of the Woman Question, from which Oveda then extrapolated the soon to become famous praised the new woman for the title of her essay. The focus of Grant's piece was particularly pertaining to the rise of the new woman, addressing as it did the double standard inherent in Victorian marriage, which insist on impeccable sexual virtue on the part of the wife but not on that of the husband, a theme she later addressed in her novel The Heavenly Twins, 1894. Once coined, the term became popular shorthand to describe the new breed of independent, educated women. The qualities and characteristics that came to define the new woman had, however, already been around for some time, as can be seen for the literature of the 1880th century. The new woman and literature. The new woman as well. The new woman was a real as well as a cultural phenomenon in society. She was a feminist, a social reformer, a poet or a playwright who would address female suffrage. And in literature, however, as a character in a play or a novel, she frequently took a different form, that of someone whose thoughts and desire highlighted not only her own aspiration but also served as a mirror in which to reflect the attitude of society. Early examples of the new woman in fiction include Nora in Henry Cabsin, A Dull House, 1879, a woman who leaves her husband to pursue her own desire. New woman in Victorian fiction. A rise of the new woman novelist, a famous African American woman, E.W. Harper, in her first novel, Shadows of Lifted, 1992, deals with the issues of women education, abolition, social responsibility. Harper observed that while the 15th century discovered America to the old world, the 19th century is discovering women to herself. New women in fiction of 20th century. The British and American society after World War I witnessed new changes as women questions got new turn. The early decades of the 19th century were a battleground for women, with key gains made in political and legal reforms. As patients grew simpler and skirt rose higher, reaching knee length by the late 1920s, women found new physical freedom, sexual freedom, deconstructing all cultural hierarchies. Scott Fitzgerald, known as the writer of the Jazz Age, presented liberated young women characters who lived and enjoyed the Jazz Age. Opposition. Many people and in 1920, many people in the 1910 and 1920 were alarmed by the new woman phenomenon. In popular magazine throughout the period, writers called for a return to old-fashioned morals and codes of behavior that had been discarded by much of the younger generation. Many women alike were critics of new women, and social agencies joined parents in attempting to return to Victorian standard of conduct in which women were supposed to be sexually passionless. Middle class women took leadership roles through voluntary organization and social work, in some ways transgressing conventional gender rules, but in other ways reinforcing them. During the First World War, the Young Women Christian Association aided urban women by providing boarding, libraries, gymnasiums, homemaking courses, and religious instruction to help minimize temptation of modern city. To conclude this, one can say that various social, political, and economic factors lead to the emergence of new women in 19th century, but this image of new women never remained static, or rather it kept on assuming various forms and shades over the time. Where the new woman of 19th century was daring, fashionable, educated, and passionate to change everything and took sexual liberties too. The new woman of the 20th century was a rational, contradictory character, introvert, and caught in the web of conflicts and tensions. Talking about first century, one can see that the thoughts and moments of Western feminists in their representations of their female subject have also some impact on the women of emerging countries like India. The feminism that is present today in India has extended beyond its Western counterpart. Third world feminism is not a mindless mimicking of Western agenda in one clear and simple sense. Indian feminism is clearly a response to the issues related to Indian women. Nayanthara 243. Thank you from your attention, sir.